வணக்கம். கோர்ஸ் கான்செப்ட்ஸ். Business Research Methods. Unit 1. Define business research. Business research is a process of acquiring detailed information of all the areas of business and using such information in maximizing the sales and profit of the business. Such a study helps companies to determine which product or service is the most profitable or in demand. In brief, it is the acquisition of information or knowledge for professional or commercial purpose to determine opportunities and goals for a business. Exploratory research. It is a research which is used to investigate a problem which is not clearly defined. This research is usually carried out when the problem is at preliminary stage. It is conducted to have a better understanding of the existing problem but will not provide conclusive results. It usually creates scope for further research. It is used to answer questions like what, why, and how. It is referred to as grounded theory approach or interpretive research. Example, a study on the impact of COVID-19 pandemic over the global economy. Casual research. Casual research is a type of conclusive research in which cause and effect relationship between two or more variables is established. This research is used mainly to identify the cause of the given behavior. This research is widely employed by several companies. It assists in determining the impact of a change in process and existing methods. The casual research assists to decide what variations take place in an independent variable with the change in the dependent variable. Example, the company wants to study the change in behavior of the consumers when a company changed the prices of its products. Theoretical research. A research which is based on existing theories and hypotheses is called theoretical research. It is conducted to gather information on any subject and increase our understanding of it. It is mainly to expand knowledge. Theoretical research is normally done by biologists, chemists, engineers, architects, writers, sociologists, historians, etc. It seeks the answer to the fundamental question of all human beings and it is common to all. It is applied when scientific inventions do not solve a problem. Example, in India, how people speak a second language. Empirical research, a research that makes use of verifiable evidence in order to arrive at research outcomes is called empirical research. It is based on observational and measurement directly experienced by the researcher. The data thus gathered is compared to a theory or hypothesis, but the results are based on real life experiences. It is also a way of gaining knowledge by means of direct and indirect observations and experiences. This research uses empirical evidences. Example, whether Listening to happy music while working will promote creativity. Cross-sectional research. It is a type of observational research that analyzes data of variables collected at one given point in time. In cross-sectional research, the researchers observe variables without influencing them. Cross-sectional studies do not include experiments. The data will be collected from many different individuals at a single point. This study type is also known as cross-sectional analysis, transverse study, or prevalence study. It is a type of observational research that analyzes data of variables collected at one given point in time across a sample population or a predefined subset. Example, a researcher can conduct a cross-sectional study to understand how people of different socio-economic status from one geographic segment respond to a change in an offer. Time series analysis. It is a way of analyzing a sequence of data points collected over an interval of time. Time series analysis comprises methods for analyzing time series data in order to extract meaningful statistics and other characteristics of that data. TSA is a statistical methodology appropriate for longitudinal research designs that involve single subjects or research units that are measured repeatedly at regular intervals over a period of time. In qualitative research, a serially sequenced set of values representing a variable's value or state at different points in time. Example, weather records. Research questions. A research question is a question that a study or research project aims to answer. These questions may be quantitative or qualitative research questions. A good research question is essential to guide a research. It is an answerable inquiry into a specific concern or issue and the initial step in a research. A research question is a statement that describes the problem that will be studied in the research. It guides the study design and methods. Research problem. Research problem is a specific issue, difficulty, contradiction, or gap in knowledge that a researcher will aim to address in his research. You might look practical problems aimed at contributing to change or theoretical problems aimed at expanding knowledge. Example, if a researcher proposes the problem in this community is that it has no healthcare center, this only leads to a research problem where the need is for a healthcare center. Research objective. Research objective describe concisely what the research is trying to achieve. They summarize the accomplishments a researcher wishes to achieve through the project and provides direction to the study. It is a concrete statement describing what the researcher is trying to achieve. A research objective must be achievable. Research objectives guide the performance of research and they are the outcomes that the researchers aim to achieve by conducting research. Example, farmers using a type of technology for their farming. Hypothesis. It is a testable proposition or predictable statement and tentative answer to a research problem. It is a statement about an expected relationship between variables or explanation of an occurrence. It is an assumption or a tentative explanation for a specific process observed during research. It refers a speculation or theory based on insufficient evidence that lends itself to further testing and experimentation. Example, students who eat regular breakfast will perform better on a math exam than students who do not eat regular breakfast. Null hypothesis. There is no statistical If there is no statistical significance between the two variables tested, that states null hypothesis. A null hypothesis is a type of statistical hypothesis that proposes that no statistical significance exists in a set of given observations. It is the hypothesis that the researcher is trying to disprove. Example, a researcher trying to disprove that there is no significant relationship between the watering and growth of flower in plants. Alternative hypothesis. Alternative hypothesis defines a statistically important relationship between two variables, whereas null hypothesis states that there is no statistical relationship between the two variables. And alternative hypothesis simply is the opposite of null hypothesis. Example, to check the water quality of a river for 1 year, the researchers are doing the observation. As per the null hypothesis, there is no change in water quality in the first half of the year as compared to the second half. But in the alternative hypothesis, the quality of the water is poor in the second half when observed. Evolutionary perspective. The evolutionary perspective draws on Darwinian principle of evolution and natural selection to explain how gender differences evolve. Individuals who are fertile live long enough to reproduce and are able to raise their offspring will successfully pass on their characteristics to the next generation. For example, humans naturally dislike and fear spiders and snakes. Using the evolutionary perspective, this is because our ancestors learned that these creatures are frequently poisonous and may be deadly. Theory in research. In modern research, it is called theory building. It is made only to identify the research gap. A theory is a generalization of observations and data that makes testable predictions, and those predictions are verified. Its role in research is to predict what you think will happen or did not happen or did happen, looking for points where it does not work. Theories are usually used to help design a research question, guide the selection of relevant data, interpret the data, and propose explanations of the underlying causes or influences of observed phenomena. Unit 2, research design. Research design is the framework of research methods and techniques chosen by a researcher. The design allows researchers to hone in on research methods that are suitable for the subject matter and set up their studies up for success. Exploratory research design. Exploratory research design is a research design for a research problem when the researcher has no past data or only a few studies for reference. Sometimes this research is informal and unstructured. It serves as a tool for initial research that provides a hypothetical or theoretical idea of the research problem. It will not offer concrete solutions for the research problem. This research is conducted in order to determine the nature of the problem and helps the researcher to develop a better understanding of the problem. For example, a study into the implications of COVID-19 pandemic into the global economy is an exploratory research. Casual research design. It is a kind of research design which is used to obtain the evidence of cause and effect relationship between two or more than two variables, where one or some variables would be the dependent and another or rest of the variable would be independent ones. For example, when company wants to study the behavior of their consumers towards the changing price of their goods, they use casual research. Descriptive research design. Descriptive research is also called an observational research method. Descriptive research design is a type of research design that aims to obtain information to describe a phenomenon, situation, or population. More specifically, it helps to answer the what, when, where, and how questions regarding the research problem rather than the why part. Example, a researcher wants to determine the qualification of employed professionals in Mumbai. Experimental research design. Experimental design is the process of carrying out research in an objective and controlled fashion so that precision is maximized and specific conclusions can be drawn regarding a hypothesis statement. Example, you might be testing a new depression medication. One group receives the actual medication and the other receives a placebo. Validity. Validity is defined as the extent to which the concept is accurately measured in a quantitative study. Example, a survey designed to explore depression but which actually measures anxiety would not be considered valid. Internal validity. Internal validity is the degree of confidence that the causal relationship you are testing is not influenced by other factors or variables. External validity is the extent to which your results can be generalized to other contexts. Control group. It is called experimental group also. The control group is composed of participants who do not receive the experimental treatment. When conducting an experiment, these people are randomly assigned to be in this group. They also closely resemble the participants who are in the experimental group or the individuals who receive the treatment. Focus group. A focus group is best defined as a small group of carefully selected participants who contribute to open discussion for research. The hosting organization carefully selects participants for the study to represent the larger population they are attempting to target. External validity. External validity is the extent to which you can generalize the findings of a study to other situations, people, settings, and measures. Example of an external validity concern is whether traditional economics or psychology lab experiments carried out on college. Variables in research. In research, variables are any characteristics that can take on different values such as height, age, temperature, or test scores. Researchers often manipulate or measure independent and dependent variables in studies to test cause and effect. The independent variable is the cause. Its value is independent of other variables in your study. The dependent variable is the effect. Its value depends on changes in the independent value. Independent variable. Example, independent and dependent variables. You design a study to test whether changes in room temperature have an effect on math test scores. Your independent variable is the temperature of the room. You vary the room temperature by making it cooler for half the participants and warmer for the other half. Your dependent variable is math test scores. You measure the math skill of all the participants using the standardized test and check whether they differ based on room temperature. Scaling. Scaling technique is a method of placing respondents in continuation of gradual change in the pre-assigned values, symbols, or numbers based on the features of a particular object as per the defined rules. For example, a survey conducted by an automobile company to know the number of vehicles owned by the people living in a particular area who can be its prospective customers in future. Reliability in research. Reliability refers to how consistently a method measures something. If the same results can be consistently achieved by using the same methods under the same circumstances, the measurement is considered reliable. Example, if a person weighs themselves during the course of a day, they would expect to see a similar reading. Scales which measured weight differently each time would be of little use. Latin square design. Latin square design. It is a square array which contains n different elements with each element occurring n times, but with no element occurring twice in the same column or row, and which is used especially in the statistical design of experiments. A Latin square is a design in which each treatment is assigned to each time period the same number of times and to each subject the same number of times. An example of Latin square design is the response of 5 different rates, factor 1 to 5, different treatments, repeated block A to E, when housed in 5 different types of cage. Factor 2, rat 1, 2, 3. Difference between validity and reliability. Reliability refers to the consistency of a measure, whether the results can be reproduced under the same conditions. Validity refers to the accuracy of a measure, whether the results really do represent what they are supposed to measure. Validity implies the extent to which the research instrument measures what is intended to measure. Reliability refers to the degree to which scale produces consistent results when repeated measurements are made. A valid instrument is always reliable. A reliable instrument need not be valid instrument. Validity is related to accuracy and reliability is related to precision. Assessment is difficult in validity and easy in reliability. Validity has more value than reliability in research.